Everyone, back to the Evermore YouTube channel. It's Chris back with my rant stroke thought of the day in this crap international football week, football wilderness where we're all bored waiting for Newcastle United to return. I thought I'd talk about England, and I thought I'd talk about a couple of Newcastle United players who are unlucky not to be in the England squad. England are playing Australia tomorrow, so it's quite pertinent that I'm talking about this. Of course, I'm talking about two of Newcastle's best performers this season to date. That's Anthony Gordon and Sean Longstaff. So starting with Gordon, who's probably the most unluckiest, I think, not to be in this England team, especially when Saka pulled out through injury. I was amazed that Southgate didn't call up Anthony Gordon. He's been fucking sensational for Newcastle this season, you know, continuing on for a success in the under-21s. And Southgate tries to talk about, you know, looking to progress from the under-21s into the senior team. He's totally contradicting himself with Anthony Gordon. He really is. You know, 7 appearances, 2 goals, 2 assists in the Premier League. I just had a quick look at his stats there before trying to commit these to memory before I come on and record on the phone here. But, you know, he's created something like 4 more big chances than Jack Grealish even, I think. You know, in terms of his tackling, you know, his ability to track back as well and defend. You know, he puts in, you know, 3 or 4 times more tackling than the likes of Grealish or Maddison do and everything else as well. Yes, they get the headlines and they get the glory to those players. You know, they're very skillful, very creative players, and they've had great, you know, seasons and seasons gone by. But I really do feel that Anthony Gordon has been really harshly dealt here in terms of the England squad. I don't think there's a more direct winger in the Premier League right now than Anthony Gordon. I think he's such a threat with that pace, that raw pace that he has, his aggression as well, the way he flies into tackles, the way he presses from the front. I think it's exactly the kind of thing that England need when they're playing those kind of games where they're struggling to get that intensity up through the roof. And I think Gordon would be a fantastic player to put into the squad. So I'm not sure how much longer Southgate can keep Anthony Gordon away from the England team. If he keeps putting in performances like he's been doing for Newcastle week in, week out, I think the media clamour will be there for Gordon to play. You know, for whatever reason, he doesn't want to pick Raheem Sterling. Raheem Sterling's actually started really well for Chelsea. I think he's a bit unlucky not to be in the squad as well. But I was listening to the Rest is Football podcast, and straight away they were saying the fact that Saka's pulled out Raheem Sterling will probably call him to the squad. But listen, you know what Raheem Sterling can do? He's had that many England caps. Why not give Gordon a chance? Put him in the England team, see what he's all about. Newcastle, we will feel the benefit. I know some people say, I don't give a shit, you know, as long as he plays for Newcastle, screw England, right? But if he plays with players in national football, his levels will go up even further. You know, so I think for Gordon, it's a great thing for him to get, you know, recognised with that England recognition. But again, it's just this whole thing with Southgate. I just think he has a real problem with Newcastle United. I mean, I know he's picking Trippier. You know, Wilson's been in squads and Pope have been in squads. But look, those two are missing out now as well. Wilson's are more of a concern because I think those niggly injury problems might be coming back into his game. That's a real concern, not just for England, but for Newcastle United, definitely, in terms of the longevity of Callum Wilson's fitness. But that's another video for another time. Nick Pope's been dropped, you know, in place of, is it Sam Johnson or something like that? I don't understand what's gone on there with Nick Pope. I think Nick Pope is still a fantastic goalkeeper. Yes, he had a couple of wobbles, but this just plays into that whole Southgate doesn't really like Newcastle mentality, and I really think that is pretty self-evident. Dan Burns unlucky not to get in the England team, you know, with injuries to Chilwell and Shaw and people like that. You got a guy who can play left back or centre back. He's not getting picked either. But the main one for me, who really is unlucky, is Anthony Gordon. I think he should have walked in that England squad. And again, it's a sign of how shit Southgate's selection policies are. Now on to the next player. Now, this really pisses me off about the way this player is so disrespected by people. I watched these 3 twat YouTubers, I'm not going to say who they are, you know who they are, and said that Sean Longstaff is one of those shit players that Southgate will pick. Well, for starters, he's not a shit player. He's better than half of the fucking midfielders in your squads at the moment, the 3 of you. Like the 3 stooges, just not as funny. Sean Longstaff has been brilliant for Newcastle since he's come back into the team this season. And what Sean Longstaff does, it's one of those things a player does that goes unnoticed for so long. And he reminds me a lot of James Milner when he was at Liverpool and at Manchester City, where all of these superstars who did the step-overs and the flicks and the tricks and the score and the curlers from 35 yards, none of that could have happened without the graft of James Milner back then. And Sean Longstaff is very much in that bracket as well. He runs his arse off, you know, for that football team. And the way he plays, he brings the creative players into the game. He creates a platform for them to shine. You know, it's no coincidence that since Sean's been back in the side, Bruno has flourished and played some of the best football he's played in a long time in a black and white shirt. And that's all down to Sean Longstaff, in my opinion. The graft that he puts in, and just his ability to get around the pitch, you know, his intensity, makes himself available. He's adding goals to his game now as well, you know, and you're talking about a lad there. And this is, again, going back to Southgate and just the pure hypocrisy of Southgate. When he was talking about Jordan Henderson going over to Saudi Arabia, he even said, you know, the fact that he's not playing Champions League football, which is a measuring stick that we use. Sean Longstaff's playing Champions League football. Not only that, he scored against Paris Saint-Germain and he ran right through the middle of their midfield. And he was fucking sensational, as was Dan Burn, as was Anthony Gordon in that game. And you haven't picked either one of them, Southgate. So you can stick your Champions League analogies up your arse. You're talking shit. This lad deserves an England chance. You've got Calvin Phillips in there, who plays no football, hardly ever. He's played about 3 times in the Premier League for City this season, I think. He's made 7 less tackles in that time than Sean Longstaff has, and you know, and his passing's way off and everything else as well. And Calvin Phillips is a good player, but his career is rotten away. It's eroding away at Manchester City. You know, if he was playing week in, week out like he was at Leeds, I'd have no problem with Calvin Phillips being in the England squad. But you can't keep picking players who aren't playing for their club, and even when they do play for them, they're not particularly standing out. Sean Longstaff has been brilliant for Newcastle United. He deserves an England call-up as well, and I think it's really harsh that Sean Longstaff has been overlooked, and some of these other fans disrespecting him. Look at, you know, Scott McTominay, who got disrespected by the Manchester United fans, comes on and saves your arse the other day with 2 goals. These players, it's not all about, you know, 16 step overs and world-class strikes in the top corner. A lot of these players, you watch the game properly, their work they put in off the ball, that pressing, their ability to always show for the ball, to come back and defend, that is just as integral to a successful football team as the goals and the skills and everything else as well. This ain't fucking FIFA, guys. Football has different elements to its game, and all those players need to be firing on all cylinders for that team to be successful. And Sean Longstaff is a fulcrum of Newcastle's recent success. Even us as a fan base have disrespected him before in the past, and I think that's slowly disappearing because we all realise what a really good footballer Sean is. And I think England recognition again for him, just like Anthony Gordon, would definitely be well deserved and not misplaced. So yeah, I think it's a bit shit that you're talking about a team that's sitting in 8th in the Premier League, who's doing really well, sitting top of their group in the Champions League. You know, there's 4, 5 English players, 6 English players in there, and only one of them is being selected in Gareth Southgate's squad. That's poor in my opinion. He's not picking on form. He's picking on reputation. He's picking players, once again, like Harry Maguire, who's off form and not playing. Phillips, who's not playing. Henderson, who's basically on holiday and playing in a fucking Mickey Mouse League. And he's picking these players above hard-working players who deserve a call-up in the shape of Anthony Gordon, Sean Longstaff, to name but 2, and even Dan Burn in the mix as well there. But that's my thought on that. Let us know what you guys think in the comments below. Do you think our lads are unlucky not to be selected by England? Has Southgate got an agenda against Newcastle United? Let us know. We might even put that in the community tab as a poll as well for you to vote on. But that's me done for the thought of the day. Hope you enjoy it, guys. If you do, click like, subscribe, come and join and be a member if you fancy. It's less than a pint of lager. Loads of ever more content coming. Newcastle will be back soon. We'll all be happy. Everything will be all right with the world. Have a cracking day. We'll catch you later. Cheers. Bye.